5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
In today's modern world, there are only 5 absolute monarchies left: Brunei, Eswatini, Oman, Saudi Arabia, and the Vatican City. Today I'm going to educate you guys on the Vatican City, which is right here. Now, it's not even on the map because it's actually in the capital of Italy, Rome. Now, I will be covering the Vatican's, how the Vatican handles human rights, the Sustainable Development Goal, life below water, and its culture, to inform you about the Vatican City. So first, some background information and history. So, according to the article Vatican City, the Vatican City gained its independence with the Lateran Treaty of 1929. This was signed with, out of everyone in the world, I don't think anyone would expect this, but Benito Mussolini, the fascist who wanted to expand his country. And the treaty basically made Italy and the Vatican recognize each other as sovereign states. Now, into more military history, the Vatican doesn't actually have a standing army because it is completely surrounded by Italy. So Italy is in charge of protecting it. At one point they did have a military, but that eventually became their police force. The closest thing they have to a military today is the Swiss Guard, but that is only for the Pope and to protect the Pope. So going into now population. So according to Holy See Population Live, which gets its results from UN estimates, the estimated population of the Vatican City right now is 806 people, because this is the smallest country in the world. So there are not a lot of people that can live in this country. The population density of the country is actually 5,186 people per square mile, which might sound weird considering there's only 806 people, but it is the smallest country in the world, which leads me to the size of the country, because it is 0.17 miles squared. So it is not even a mile squared large, which is why its density is so high. So moving on into culture. So first I'm going to cover some demographics. So the ethnicities you will find in the Vatican City are varied because it is the heart of the Holy See, or Catholic Church. So a lot of non-residential employees will come in, and they're from almost everywhere in the world. But you will mainly find Italian people there, as the Vatican City is inside of Italy. You will also find Swiss people due to the Swiss Guard that guards the Pope, because their families will often move into the Vatican to be near their family who is guarding the Pope. Now, going into religion. Now, religion is a very big part of the Vatican because, as I just said, it is the heart of the Catholic Church. So as you might expect, almost everyone there is Catholic. There is no big statistics for any other religion existing in the Vatican because almost everyone there is Catholic. Now, going into languages, and according to the state of the Vatican City, the official language of the Vatican is actually Latin, and this is due to scriptures and stuff, old writings being written in Latin. So that is generally what they use for official purposes. However, you will find most of the people there speaking more Italian because, again, it's in the Italian peninsula, and it's just easier for them to speak, especially when their country is so small and they can go into Italy. There are also plenty of other languages that are spoken there because, again, it's the Catholic Church, so a lot of Catholics would like to go there. Some of them live there, cardinals, deacons, people, members of the Catholic Church. And then going into government now. So government is indeed a part of culture. It sounds a little weird when you say it out loud, but especially for the Vatican, because the government of the Vatican City is a theocracy, which means it's run by a religious group, in this case the Catholic Church, with their monarch being the Pope and the Holy See. Now, currently we have Pope Francis at the helm, and he's been relatively liked among the Catholic community and in the Vatican, but he is still an absolute monarch. But he is an elective absolute monarch, which might sound contradictory, but the way it works is the people don't actually vote. According to the state of the Vatican City, the College of Cardinals will actually elect a pope. And the way that this is done is the cardinals are chosen by the current pope, and there's 115 cardinals who are all under 80, and men. We'll get into that later. And once a pope dies, because a pope serves for life, they cannot be removed from power, the College of Cardinals will instate a new pope via election. So now moving on to human rights. So the Vatican generally supports human rights a lot. According to the state of the Vatican City, they have a heavy favorability for faith freedom because they are a religious group mostly. And they also will attempt to prevent a lot of scandals or try to do something about scandals they know are going on, which leads me into there are a lot of scandals. According to Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman, or Degrading Treatment or Punishment, the Catholic Church struggles with redress, which is compensating victims for what has happened to them. This is mainly happening from abuse because going through the Catholic Church's history, there's a very large group of abuse, and with the Catholic Church being the head of the government of the Vatican, obviously that will lead into them, the Vatican itself, being kind of put with these problems. The next thing is women's rights, which they are generally pretty big, and Pope Francis has been really big on women's rights, but they are still prohibited from many church positions in the hierarchy, like bishops, priests, deacons, and I believe even Pope. And then the last thing is the kidnapping and trafficking of children. So there have been multiple reports of children being taken by members of the church and being found in a different country in foster care or an adoption center. Now, this is not official policy at all. This is just these people being not good people. And Pope Francis is very outspoken against them, and there have been a lot of things against it. So now moving on to the final part of the speech, the SDG goal, life below water. So this is really the only goal the Vatican has spoken out with, and they did it with a speech to the entire UN. Now, first they highlighted the importance of the ocean, which is that it gives us resources. So according to Peter Turkison, who is a cardinal, the Pope recognizes the food and materials that the oceans would give us, and recognizes that we need to protect it and stop the problems like pollutants and carbon emissions that are poisoning our waters. He set up 5 guiding principles, which is, the first principle is a moral imperative. So we have to take care of it because of our morals. Then the second principle is integral ecology, which is if there's a crisis for the environment, it should be recognized as a crisis for humanity because the environment provides to us. Next, he talked about solutions for these problems, and both social and ecology. Not pronounced that right, but which is to basically motivate people to protect these oceans, because he believes that just scientific solutions will not always work, because you need the support of the people. They're going to keep dumping stuff into the oceans unless we can get them also behind it. And he suggests doing this through the next principle, education, which is to educate people about the wonders of the ocean, to make them love it more and accept that we need to do something about it. Then the final principle is collaboration. So nations putting their differences aside to do a worldwide effort to protect our oceans because it provides for all of us. So, in conclusion, I think that you guys will find that the Vatican City is a very interesting and great country. I have covered, though they have a very mixed kind of history with human rights, they are trying to recover from it. They very much support their SDG goal, and their culture is amazing and interesting. So I hope you all enjoyed being informed about the Vatican City.